Welcome back to another episode of the Expansion Pack podcast. In fact, the last episode of 2020. As always, we're going to download this week's content and bring it to you. We got a very interesting episode this week, and I'm sure it's no surprise what we're going to be talking about. It's all about Cyberpunk. All about Cyberpunk.
Damn right.
But of course, we're going to say hello to our amazing co-host here. So first off, we got Manny, a.k.a. Goopmaster Flex. How you doing?
We stay gooping, you know what I'm
saying? We stay gooping. All right. And my guy Chris over here, a.k.a. May 25th. How are you doing, my boy?
Yeah, everything's everything. I will say I would love to see that on a t-shirt one day, Goop. Please. We stay gooping.
We stay gooping.
Yeah, man. I kind of like that.
Make America goop again.
That might be something you might see very soon. We stay gooping. All right. So we've had a very interesting week, packed basically around Cyberpunk and all the controversy and fun that's come along with the game. But, again, as we mentioned, we're right around the holidays. We're pretty much right at the end of the year. This is the last episode of the year. We're going to take a little break for the holidays. So we're going to kick off our icebreaker question. Of course, as always, we'll kick it over to Chris. What do you got for us?
Icebreaker for the last episode of the year. Yeah, for each of you gentlemen, what is your personal game of the year to close out? 12 months, 2020, a lot of gaming, a lot of button pushing and stuff. What's your favorite of the year?
Favorite game of the year. All right, Manny, I'm gonna let you go and start this one off.
Game of the year? You're gonna start me off when you guys know what I'm gonna say? I mean, come on. Who doesn't like to go fishing next to the docks on a nice Sunday night? All right, let me stop. That's not my game of the year, but, shout out to Animal Crossing.
Okay.
It is definitely not 2K. I am disappointed in that. So, I don't care what anybody says. I mean, you know what? I'm gonna have to go with Spider-Man Miles Morales. I'm gonna have to say that's gonna be my little game of the year. First game I played on the PS5 to test out the new ray tracing feature with the, this, that, and the third. But yeah, I'll say Spider-Man Miles Morales. The story was great. It's a little bit short, but that doesn't make the game. That doesn't make the story, bad. Like the story was really good. So, I like the way the game played and everything like that. And then, like the memes say, the exaggerated swagger of a black kid jumping off a building.
That's like the quote of the year. I saw that review. I was like, yo, what?
I know it's on the current gen PS4 as well, but I mean, it was a good way to showcase what the PS5 can possibly do in the future. And they even updated it with the new ray tracing 60 frames feature, which looks pretty good. So, shout out to Spider-Man. Great game. If you guys haven't tried it yet on the PlayStation side, give it a try.
Okay. So yeah, my game of the year. I was surprisingly leaning towards Cyberpunk in regards to all of the craziness that's going on, but some of the bugs have definitely pulled me out of it. So I can't say it's my favorite game of this year. I think the game that I've enjoyed playing the most from beginning to end, actually Resident Evil 3. It's all the way back in, what was it, March? Did it come out? I believe it was March. That was like the first game that released like in the middle of the pandemic, and I just remember sitting down, having nowhere to go, and I played the game all day and beat it in that day. So yeah, that was definitely my favorite game this year.
Dope. The game was dope.
Damn, I'm still kind of struggling with my answer. Like, I know everybody probably thinks, oh, he's just gonna say Destiny. No, it's not Destiny. Not my game of the year. It's like my favorite game of like ever or whatever, but it ain't the game of the year. I can wholeheartedly tell you it ain't. Shit, man. There's also a part of me that wants to say Cyberpunk, but like it's also hard for me to get with that. With I sound like you on your answer, to be honest, but I don't know if I played anything else that gave me like maximum enjoyment. You know what? It's probably gonna be Warzone for me.
I knew you
say
were
Warzone. Yeah. That I mean, if I'm really thinking about it, I had a lot of fun in Warzone this year, and a lot of different moments with a bunch of different friends. I was even able to do a little bit of cross play with some of my peoples over on PlayStation for a little bit. They had the cool Halloween events. And above everything else, I mean, this was Modern Warfare, I guess you could say, but this was the game that got me into COD. People who don't know, I was not a big fan of these games for a long time. And Warzone comes out, and I'm like, this shit kind of dope. I'll try it out a little bit. Next thing I know, we playing for hours. Next thing you know, I'm in Plunder solo playing, trying to rank up my weapons, and it's torture. And I'm like, I'm in here. Done. I'm in here. And I'm shooting people, and I'm by myself solo against squads. And, it's cool. My MP7's getting up there, So for me, yeah, I probably have to give it to that one. It definitely hit me the hardest out of all the games this year so far, for sure.
Yeah, definitely, man.
The new map.
Man, I play so much Warzone. I'm just so burnt out of it that I'm still like at a 3-month hiatus. I haven't touched that game.
That's why I'm like, I gotta try the new map though, because the new map said it's more like mini royale, so it's only like 70 people or something like that load in. And I was like, okay, and it doesn't look like there's as much camping going on the new map, so I'm just interested to see how the actual flow of the game goes through. But yeah.
Okay, weird. Yeah, I feel like I might have to jump in there too because I haven't touched Warzone in a while. But I can definitely attest to the impact that Warzone has had on our boy Chris over here because I know for sure he's definitely was not a Call of Duty guy. Barely a shooter guy, really. Destiny, Destiny was definitely like an exception to that rule. But even, I play a lot of Destiny with Chris. I could definitely tell the difference that him playing Call of Duty made and how he played Destiny as well.
Yeah.
Definitely. So so it definitely doesn't surprise me to hear him say that Warzone is his game of the year because it definitely that's almost like a new area for him that just kind of opened up out of nowhere. So exciting to see that. That was pretty cool.
For sure.
But yeah, shifting gears a little bit. This one wasn't exactly something that we talked about pre-episode, but I just want to slide it in there a little bit. Two things that I want to go around the room and just talk about real quick because we have to go back into some more Cyberpunk conversations. But I want to know each of your favorite gaming moments and your biggest disappointments of this year. So, Chris, I'll let you start off.
Okay. Biggest gaming moments. See, it's hard for me to answer that question because, I feel like all the moments that I could have answered for this didn't get to happen, or they didn't happen in the way that we wanted them to happen because of all the circumstances and things going on.
So it could be an announcement. It could be a moment of you playing a game.
Okay. Switched it up.
Yeah, very large.
Biggest game announcement that I could think of would probably be the xCloud thing because I think if that goes well, if they really do this the way how I'm thinking that they're gonna do it, it's game changing. It is an absolute game changer. I'm very excited to kind of see where they go with that. In terms of my biggest disappointment, honestly, it's the fact that the Anthem 2.0 thing hasn't happened yet. I have been waiting for months, bro. Months just to give them some kind of praise somewhere. The game was shit, but they fixed it. And it's been, over a year now, and we get barely that many updates on it. And it's starting to get to the point where I'm almost losing faith in it, and I hate that because I still want to feel like I spent $60 on a game that I'm actually going to get something out of long term.
Mm-hmm.
But
should have got your refund, man.
Nah, I didn't want it because I held out the hope thinking that it was gonna, go somewhere, and here we are.
Yeah.
So biggest disappointment. Sure.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said about that, and we'll draw that line in a moment. But Manny, hit us off. So, what was your again your favorite gaming moment? Whether that's a moment of you playing a game or a gaming announcement, and your biggest disappointment of this year.
So I'm gonna have to say my favorite gaming moment was the week of the new console drop, or just came home with my new system, opened the box, unwrapping the console, and being able to plug it in to experience the next gen. Woo! But yeah, I mean, that was like just seeing like my favorite unboxing was the PlayStation 5. I'm not gonna lie, like seeing that big old Wi-Fi router kind of looks sexy. I'm not gonna lie. I'm looking at it right now. But my biggest disappointment, you already know I'm gonna say, the fact that Animal Crossing ain't get Game of the Year.
Oh my god.
The biggest snub of 2020. I don't know what to say.
Man, I feel you, Goob.
Yo, get out of here.
I mean, the only thing I was really disappointed, except for the fact that a lot of things got pushed back, like Halo Infinite, which that definitely was a bummer because I was looking forward to being able to play that as soon as the Xbox launched. Another the whole pandemic with the whole this affecting the whole gaming industry. So that'll be my disappointment of the year.
Okay. All right, so for me, my favorite gaming moment of the year. I mean, next gen was opening up my Series X was a huge moment. That was a lot of fun, a lot of excitement around that. Perfect Dark getting announced was pretty cool. Starting a Twitch channel was pretty cool. But I think I'm actually gonna go with the Destiny raid that we all did. That was probably up there for my favorite moment of this year. That was this year, yeah. That was during the pandemic.
Wait, are you talking about the one that we
didn't finish? Yeah, we didn't finish.
Yeah, that was.
But going through it was a lot of fun. Like I wish we could get everybody together and do another one because, yeah, that was a high point. Like it definitely had its share of frustration.
The dogs was the worst part.
And it lasted for probably a good 8 hours. Like we all just got a good shift in on that one. But it was a lot of fun, man. It was definitely a lot of coordination that needed to happen. A lot of us yelling at each other to do this and do that and try to get on the same page. But I loved every minute of it. It was just a lot of fun. And it's rare that you get a game like that involves that much collaboration and coordination. It's just a lot of fun. Destiny 2, it may not be everyone's cup of tea in certain regards, but the stuff that happens in the raids, the puzzles, and the things that come along with it, it's just a great time. So that's definitely going to be there for my favorite gaming moment. Okay. Biggest disappointment? Well, mine was, I was going to say Halo Infinite because I was really, really, really looking forward to that game. Man, he kind of snatched that one from me. So, I think I would actually say the next gen launch in general was probably the biggest disappointment for me. And that's mainly because of COVID, to be quite honest. So that, encompassing Halo Infinite, encompassing the fact that the medium got pushed back, encompassing, the fact that we probably didn't get as many launch titles as we should have gotten because COVID, So, that's definitely going to be my biggest disappointment for 2020. I'm looking forward to 2021 in the sense that a lot of these games that we were supposed to be seeing, like Halo, like Medium, we're going to start getting them trickled out throughout the year. So that should be exciting.
I'm with it.
Yeah,
I'm with it.
But yeah, so speaking of disappointments in some ways.
Oh gosh.
We're gonna move over to Cyberpunk. We're gonna move over to the dumpster fire that's happening over there. I still think it's a great game, but man, those bugs are really, 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 really hard to ignore. Manny, I'm gonna let you take this one away. Just let's get a little recap on what's going on with CD Projekt Red.
CD Projekt Red, you done messed it up. I, we all got the game. The game came out, and we expected a lot from them. The game got pushed back like 2, 3, 4 times with the whole, the whole little thing going on in October. The game's gold. The game's gold. Welcome to the Chocolate Factory. Bring your gold ticket. They say the game went gold, and they gave us all hope. Like, oh, okay, the game's on gold, so the game's likely finished. Ready to go out the box. And then it hit us. Oh, we're gonna have to push it back another 3 weeks because it's not to our liking in the current gen console. So that's a little red flag we got over there. But we didn't expect what we got. What we got out the box, like I was surprised they, Xbox and PlayStation let the game go through. Ain't they have like a little system where they check the games before they release? I was disappointed, like with the amount of bugs. Like it ain't as bad playing on the Series X, but it's still bugs, and it's like kind of ruins the experience of the game. The characters glitching around during like a serious like talking scene where you're just like having a conversation. Next thing you know, the character's like doing like flips and cutting through the walls and stuff like that. Like I'm like, yo, how you like floating in the air, sitting down while you're trying to talk to me about somebody? Like, bro, I remember I saw somebody literally. I wish I could do it, but I can't because it's like literally impossible. Like somebody was dead sitting on the chair, like backward, like where their like legs were like pointed, like through the chair and everything like that. I'm like, bro, how do you like release a game or and the game just comes out like this, where like cars literally flying out the sky and like clipping through the maps and everything like that. It's gotten to a point where PlayStation had to just say, you know what, we ain't selling this game no more until you fix it. Or
Yeah. I will say this, and I'm not saying this as an excuse for anyone because CD Projekt Red needs to be held accountable, but everything that you just described, welcome to the world of open world RPGs, bro. Like, that's an issue that we had with The Witcher. That's an issue we had with Fallout 4, Fallout 76, Assassin's Creed. Like, yeah.
Nah. I mean, you know
what? Bro. Go play Valhalla.
We're talking. I mean, I know Valhalla has its glitches, but we're talking about the most anticipated game. We ain't talking about no Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed, every year it's just whatever. It's Assassin's Creed. We know what to expect from them. Yeah, they have their loads of glitches and stuff like that. Fallout 76, yeah, that was disappointing. But we're talking about like a game we've been waiting 8 years.
We've been waiting a while for it, but realistically, like the general population has really only been waiting like maybe 3 years for that game, right? Like nobody really knew about it until they did like a bit of a rebrand and a relaunch. And don't get me wrong, I think the game is definitely like, it was really hyped up and is really big. But I would also venture to show you a game called Anthem that was equally as hyped up and probably a bigger letdown, in my opinion, than that game.
Anthem's different because
it's not though.
It's EA and BioWare.
It's not though. It really isn't though.
They should have known from their previous release with Mass Effect that there's probably going to be some bugs with Anthem. That game was just overall disappointing.
Well, I don't think that Mass Effect. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember this. I don't remember Mass Effect having a ton of bugs. I just remember it being a bad game. Period. Yeah, it was just a garbage game.
I know when the game first came out, I did see like a lot of videos of bugs and stuff like that. So maybe that was my YouTube recommendation list, but. But like I said, like we're still talking about like one of the most anticipated games that they pushed back multiple times, saying that the game is done. They lied to us. They said, you know what, we're gonna release the game with the current state because people keep on complaining that we keep on pushing it back, and then here you go, and then everybody was just like. Oh, they saw it.
I understand the fact that there are a lot of bugs and like we talked about, right? The number of bugs that we're seeing on last gen at this point consoles is definitely unacceptable. But again, like I've said, that's not something new, right? Like we've seen that with a ton of different games. For me, the big issue is the the way that they went about it all, right? So to your point, what you said, they said the game is ready to go, it's ready to ship, whatever. Like when it got pushed back in February, when was it? February, March, like early this year, it got pushed back. And at that point in time, the executives said, the game is ready to ship. It's ready. It's playable and ready to go now. But we're pushing it back to refine it and do this, that, and the other. Right. So it's like, okay, that was one of our first major delays. And then of course we know what happened. What was it? The week after the Series X released, right? Or was it 2 weeks after the Series X release? Either way, in November we knew that it got pushed back again. So then now it comes out in December, and it's like, okay, you are allowing people to review the game, but it's only it's only reviewable on PC. They're not letting people see the console version of the game. And then even on PC, the people who are reviewing it, they weren't allowed to show their own gameplay footage. They had to take the footage that CD Projekt Red fed them. Like red flags, right? Like red flags. Mm-hmm. But because what we know about that studio and how much everybody loved The Witcher, we gave them a pass, right? We said, okay, like whatever, we don't need to see the game, just take my money, right? That's what a lot of people had said. Mm-hmm. And there was so much hype drummed up, right? Keanu Reeves being in the game, like hype drummed up now, right? Like, we see all the way the game looks, all the graphical fidelity of the game, so on and so forth, right? Everything that we were fed on PC. So, whatever, it is what it is. That's what happens most of the time with games like this. But then it comes out and it's just like, oof.
Like,
it's a gut punch, man. It's a gut punch to see the issues that people were experiencing on last gen. Like I said, and I'll preface more of this conversation by saying that I'm playing on a Series X. I'm having minimal issues. At this point, I believe we talked about it last week, but the biggest bug I've encountered so far is that I can't complete a particular quest where I have to put this guy in the trunk of a car. I think the mission's called Big in Japan. So I had to go grab the guy, carry him past a bunch of gang members. I had to kill them all. I finally get out of the place, and then they tell me to go put this guy in the trunk of a car that's not there. Instead, what's there is my motorcycle. I can't put him on that. I eventually then go find a car, put him in the trunk, and I still can't finish the mission. It won't let me do anything else. So to this day, this man is still in the trunk of my car, just roaming around. I can't finish my mission. So, that's my biggest bug so far. And I understand, and we'll go around and you guys can talk about any of the bugs you've seen, but I know we've seen some of the stuff online with genitalia popping through clothing and stuff like that. That's more funny stuff, not really game breaking in my opinion. But yeah, that's been my experience so far. So as far as my experience goes, it's really not that bad. I think my game maybe crashed once. And I know that on PlayStation 4, like base PlayStation 4, there's been a lot of crashing. And, that stuff is definitely unacceptable, right? So, I don't know. It's a tough situation. I'm curious, though, what kind of bugs have you guys been seeing in your playthroughs? Chris, you want to start it up?
I definitely have my fair share of bugs. I don't know if I've had as many bugs as some people have been having. I'm playing on the One X right now. So again, just to your point, a lot of people who have been experiencing the most bugs, it sounds like, are on the very, very base model of both consoles. However, in terms of the bugs, yeah, they're when they occur, I haven't experienced anything game breaking, but they're super, super, super annoying. And then I also have a bug now that literally just happened before we got ready to do this. I don't even know if if you guys know this mission, but basically I did a mission for somebody. I think it was Wakaka, and then she was like, "Go see this Ripper Doc, and then the Ripper Doc's gonna give you a free upgrade that you got via the mission or whatever." So I'm looking for the Ripper Doc. I finally got over to him, and I go in his inventory, and the thing that I need is there, but it's not free. John cost like 10 stacks. And I'm like, I don't have 10 stacks. So what's the deal? And it wouldn't let me get it. So I'm like, all right, let me just go get the 10 stacks. Maybe it's a thing where like I'll buy it and then they'll just add the money back to my inventory later or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Nah. I went, I bought it, and the worst part about it all is it didn't even trigger the fact that I picked it up in my quest. So I bought the mod. I have the mod currently equipped out of my own pocket, but I have no progression on the bitch.
You talking about the tattoo? My guy paid 10 G's for a tattoo?
No. I had to get something that was going to allow me to link my weapons to smart weapons.
Yeah, it's a tattoo.
It's not the thing?
It's a tattoo. That's all it is. The tattoo does allow you to use smart weapons, but it's a tattoo.
So the thing next to it in the Hyperdoc Shock says that it's gonna allow me to get a link. So I've spent the 10 stacks.
I'm on the same boat as Chris because I was stuck in that whole side mission trying to get the whatever the reward is, but there's no hint on what's where to grab or what to grab. You literally have to at least for me, I had literally had to cycle through everything to see which one was free. Yeah. So it would be nice if they give us some kind of hint of pick up this tattoo. You know what I'm saying? But
it doesn't even say it's a tattoo. I would have never thought that that's what I needed to pick up. Why did they not put that in the?
Interesting. Yeah, they just called it. They called it a mod. For me, there was a yellow circle with an exclamation point in it, and that told me, okay, that's what I'm supposed to get. And it was free for me, but it was just like a tattoo that lets you link your smart weapon. And if I had to pay 10 G's for that, I would be furious. So I'm sorry, sir.
It wasn't even an epic mod, bro. It was a rare mod. I'm so mad.
The malts. Oh, he said, run the pockets.
I experienced that. I forgot the name of the lady that worked with Vic, but you know how Misty. She does her whole tarot card thing or whatever. Misty, yeah. Mm-hmm. I wanted to go see her to ask her about the tarot images that pop up in the city, and she did my fortune, and she is doing the thing with the cards, and she's pulling the cards out, but as she's pulling them off the deck, there's no card, so she's just she places it, but it's just blank, and I'm like, what card is this? Oh, that's the moon. I'm like, you ain't even put the moon down, though. What you talking about? That's the moon. She went through the whole fortune with no cards actually being used. And then when my boy Jackie got that was a touching moment that I know all of us felt deep within our hearts. And this man was literally giving me the chip in the whip while he was leaking. You know what I'm saying? My guy was leaking. The chip. As he was giving me the chip, his gun, it went through his head. You know what I'm saying? So it was just it was like a gun in his head like this. He was looking at me take the chip, bro. Take. And then he died. And then he's like.
No, brother.
Homie died with the.
Oh man!
But then I saw that same glitch happened to mad other people.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know who Fallout plays is Denzel, but he's a big Destiny player, and he has a lot of videos on YouTube like Cross. He has a video of right now, and it's an 8-minute video, and it's called "We Waited 7 Years for This." And it's just a compilation of all the most craziest bugs and glitches you could find. Dog, I haven't experienced any of that, but yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, I've been seeing some things online of people on base model Xbox One where textures just aren't loading in, and you're just talking to a blob, blob of a human. I'm like, bruh, that sucks. I wish they just cut it off and made it a next gen only title, but I mean it's too late now. The cat's out of the bag, so not much you can do. But yeah, Manny, did you see any other crazy bugs you want to talk about?
Yeah, I know I mentioned some already with I'll say the craziest bug I have was I forgot what happened exactly, but my car got launched in the air and I landed on top of a roof. And then when I got on top of the roof, I got out of the car and my guy like clipped under the map, and I was like, like I couldn't even get off the roof. My guy clipped, and I was just like falling. But and then it's just like a lot of other small stuff, like I said, like with like important dialogue moments where like the characters are just like having a conversation, and the next thing like like the person I'm talking to starts bugging out. Like 1 minute they're like standing on like onto the like leaning on the desk, and the next thing you know they're sitting down and standing back up again. But like it's just like those like moments where it's like it's not like they're doing it naturally. It's just like it just clips into like, all right, he's sitting down. Okay, now he's standing up, sitting down, sitting down. But like I remember there was one moment where I was talking to Judy on the elevator, and
sorry.
And then like she went to sit down, and then like she sat down on the wall of the elevator, but like she like her body clipped through the elevator, and all you see was her legs. And I was like, I was like, yo, what's going on? Like this is like, this is some important dialogue moment right here. You just like, I'm talking to your feet. I'm a feet guy, but like no. No, you stop.
Oh man, that's funny. Yeah, no. It's those are the type of bugs though where I'm like, that shit's funny, man.
Yeah, they're like Fallout bugs, man. That's what everyone knows.
Yeah, like it kind of gives it like a weird charm, but like I don't feel like any of the bugs any of us have talked about I would consider like game breaking, right?
Yeah.
I've seen, like, again, don't be wrong, there are certain game breaking bugs in the game, and even those small bugs that pile up, like they definitely tarnish what otherwise is an actually excellent game and an excellent piece of storytelling. Man, like, it just sucks that the conversation that we're all having is the stuff about the bugs, because underneath that, all of that, like, the game is just so good. It's so rich. The world is so rich. There's so much going on, like, but we'll get into that portion of it a little bit later. But yeah, all those bugs came out. Everybody's talking about the bugs that are happening, and of course, CD Projekt Red did end up releasing a statement, in essence, saying that, kind of admitting that they knew that the game wasn't ready to go on last gen, hardware. And definitely kind of piles on and leads to more people being upset and kind of going at the company as a whole. And then of course we get to, what was it, Thursday night, and PlayStation announced that they were pulling the game off of the store, which I think is crazy. I think that's such a dramatic reaction. I understand why it needed to happen. Really, when CD Projekt Red released their statement, they mentioned that anyone, they're willing to honor refunds at any point in time, or not any point in time, but willing to offer refunds at this point in time for anyone who's unsatisfied with the bugs that were happening in the game. So they basically kind of sent, in a sense, threw Sony under the bus, because for those who don't know, Sony doesn't really have a return policy built into their PlayStation Store to be able to get your money back for a game that you're unsatisfied with. The policy that they have is pretty... It basically states that you have 14 days to request a return for a game that you haven't played yet or streamed. So if you've downloaded it and you haven't played it yet or you haven't streamed it, then you can request a refund. But if you played it in the scenario that everybody knows about right now with Cyberpunk, you would have had to play the game, understand that, oh, it's buggy, I can't play it like this, now I want my refund. According to Sony's policy, they can't do that. So on the flip side, Microsoft's policy, just talking about last gen in particular, there's Xbox versus Sony in this regard. Xbox's system for refunds is much, 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 much easier, because literally all you have to do is just go to a website, and as long as the game is within 14 days of purchase, you can go ahead and request a refund, and usually the automated system will let you go through with it. I have seen some rare instances where you may have a little bit of an issue and you may have to talk to someone, but generally speaking, their system is just much simpler. You request a refund, you get it back, you lose access to the game, and boom, you're good to go. So, of course, as people are requesting refunds because of CD Projekt Red's statement, people are, reporting on the fact that it's easier to get a refund from Xbox than it is from PlayStation. PlayStation's just outright rejecting people. So it makes sense that eventually Sony decided to say, okay, we're going to go ahead and honor refunds, but we have to pull the game off the store. Mm-hmm. And it sounds bad in the beginning, and it sounds like a knee-jerk reaction or a bit of an overreaction, but I understand that really it just boils down to, and I'm not saying this to fault Sony, but Sony's policies just aren't ready for something like this. They're not built for something like this. So they have no choice but to pull the game off of the store. So in a weird way, Microsoft has a little exclusive for the time being, at least the console exclusive on Cyberpunk 2077. So I just think the whole thing is just really, really freaking weird, man. Like it's kind of like the perfect story for 2020, right? Like 2020 has been such a shit year, right? So sure enough, the game that we've all been waiting for 7 years would come out in 2020, and it would just be a complete shit show. I'm curious. I think I know what most of your answers are, but something that we're all going to talk about at least. Do you think that CD Projekt Red can come back from this? Manny, I'll let you go.
Yeah, I mean, they can. The only thing is, it's just like a bad first impression of the game. Like, the damage is already done. It's definitely going to change how, like, these game developers release their game nowadays, because obviously they don't want to like have a whole like clusterfuck as Cyberpunk. So like it might be good in that sense where all right, these game developers might take it more seriously, try to make the game less buggy and more playable. For like I said, CD Projekt Red, it's they did kind of like messed up with saying the game is gold, leading like basically people on to thinking that the game is basically ready to play, and just to have the game be like an unfinished product, which sucks. Not only for the gamer side, but you got the developers basically working like 6 hours a week just to try to get this game out and ready to go and stuff like that. Not 6 hours, 6 days a week.
6 days, yeah.
But I was like 6 hours, maybe that's why the game that's why the game's like that.
In the shoe, yeah.
They like I said, they can bounce back. It just depends on what they do in the future, because now it's like the game is practically unplayable for consoles. Like they fix some things, but still, if you play on the current gen Xbox, the base model, and same thing with PlayStation 4 base model, you're not gonna have a good time, pretty much.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned the crunch conversation, because that's definitely something that the industry as a whole was really kind of focusing in on these last couple of years. The idea that these bigger corporations are requiring these developers to work overtime, like crunching, spending time away from their families and whatnot to try to push out a product. And in this scenario, there was so much crunch after they had already said that the executives of CD Projekt Red had already said that they weren't going to make their employees work overtime and work that type of those type of crunch hours. Some people were reporting like 60 to 80 hour weeks, and that's like that can bring people down in a significant way. So it just feels disingenuous, to know that everything that they've said, the executives have said, okay, we're not gonna make our employees work crunch. Boom, now we're making them work crunch. Oh yeah, the game is ready and it's in a finished state, whatever. Boom, like now you've made them work the crunch. You said before the crunch that the game was in a finished state. The game comes out and it has so many bugs. It's clearly unfinished. It's like, so they worked all that crunch for what? And you lied to us again? Like, it's just situations like that just garner so much ill will. It's tough. It's tough. But Chris, what do you think, man? You think they'll come back from this?
Yeah, for sure. I think I've been telling everybody, give it maybe about 2-3 months, and I think we'll be in a way different spot than we're in now. It's crazy though, because like what I keep hearing everywhere, not everywhere, but a good amount on the internet, people keep comparing this rollout to like Fallout 76 or like to Anthem, and like I don't understand the comparison with that, especially with like Anthem, because I keep saying like Anthem was okay-ish for the campaign, and then there was just no content. It didn't matter if the game shipped with no bugs at all. There was no content. It was going to hit a wall regardless. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't think that's the case with Cyberpunk. And even with Fallout 76, Fallout 76 had hella bugs, and then they made a huge like blunder of an idea of trying to take NPCs out of the world, which I don't understand why they would do that in a Bethesda game where that's more or less why people are playing your game, is because they get such a rich experience via the NPCs in your environment that you made. And if you take that out, it's like, that's a huge gameplay misstep, man. Like, why would you do that? Again, I don't think that's what Cyberpunk's issue is. I think Cyberpunk is just got some bugs, some generic, mostly visual, from what I'm seeing, bugs. You know, nothing game breaking so far, really. I know it's game breaking for some folks depending on your console, but I have confidence this game is going to be fine in 2-3 months. I don't worry about that. Plus, they've already shown you that they can do this with the game with Witcher, because Witcher also released in a rough spot. Like, how would you not have confidence in them? I don't think it was right for them to like lead people on. I don't think it was right for them to kind of make claims to things that they probably shouldn't have made claims to earlier or whatever. But yeah, it would be crazy of me to say that I don't think this game is going to come back from it. I think if anything, correct me if I'm wrong. Anthem took how many years to make? 7 years? 8 years too? Took a long time, right?
I don't know, to be honest with you. Not sure.
I could have sworn it was in development for a good while. I feel like, for whatever reason, once games are in such a long development cycle, it's almost like they get like all this like fire under them, and it's like they rush. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I know how things work on the other side of the fence, or if they have like time crunches, or if they're given like hard deadlines that they have to like hit. I would think if I'm the people like EA, or if I'm like, you know, BioWare or some of these other companies, you know, I don't understand why they would be forcing games to come out if they're half baked, because then that also affects your reputation too. So I don't get why. I don't know. It's there's something on the other side of the fence that I feel like we're missing in terms of, I guess, the pitchfork that's behind some of these companies in terms of getting that game out by a certain deadline. Because it makes me think, like, did CD Projekt Red really want to come out when they came out, or were they forced to come out because the game's been in development for so long? You know what I'm saying? And that's, I don't really know how to talk about that because I don't really know how it works.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak on it based off of the little knowledge that I have. In most scenarios, so let's take Anthem for example, right? The story around it goes that the game was in development for, you know, a decent amount of time. It got a rework at some point in the development process, but EA, not BioWare, kind of put their foot down in a sense and kind of said, hey, like, we need to speed this along. We need to get a game out there. Like, we need you guys to present something at some point. So there was a bit of pressure as far as BioWare and Anthem goes. And you can kind of point to EA as the reason why. It doesn't necessarily exonerate BioWare as a whole, but from what you can tell, it seems like EA was the one who put the pressure to get the game out, you know, as quickly as possible or whatever, what have you. So Fallout 76, let's just be honest here. Bethesda, when they release games, they tend to have bugs. Like, it just is what it is. It's kind of part of their charm too, like, whatever, what have you. But the difference with Fallout 76 had more to do with the content than it had to do with the bugs. It was like Fallout 76 as a whole was basically just a beta test in the beginning, right? They took out NPCs, like you mentioned. They tried to get a fully open world with other, you know, humans in it, and that experiment essentially failed. So they had to go ahead and rework how they thought about the game. So that wasn't really like any pressure or anything along those lines. That was just, they made a bad bet, and that was that. This situation seems to be solely inflicted by CD Projekt Red. From my understanding, I think it was WB Games is the ones who are publishing the game.
Yep.
They were like, go ahead and do whatever the heck it is you have to do. Just make us a game.
Mhm.
Like, we're just going to leave you alone because everybody knows who you are and everybody loves you. And we're not going to apply any pressure. From what we've, I mean, obviously there could be a report that comes out next week that completely contradicts what I'm saying. But from what we've been hearing, it seems like it was all on CD Projekt Red to get this game out, like, this year. Right? There was so much hype around it. They recouped their production costs on this game through pre-orders alone because of how hyped it was and how many people had pre-ordered the game. Right? So, it's really, in a sense, it's just a cash grab. They just wanted to get money and release a game this year, and I think they thought they could sneak by because obviously, if this game came out on PC only the way it is, like, people would be lauding it as a masterpiece because I still think it is a masterpiece in a lot of ways. But it's really just the current gen stuff or last gen stuff, I should say, that's really kind of screwed them over. And the fact that they tried to tiptoe around it and now they're just getting, a fire lit under their ass, like, they deserve it. And it's solely on CD Projekt Red, the executives, not the developers, just to be very clear, because the developers, they have no say in this type of stuff. They're just working and trying to create the best game that they can possibly create. But as far as the executives saying, okay, this is in a release state, like, go ahead and push this out. I feel bad for the people who were working on the current gen stuff and sitting there saying, like, hey, like, there's problems. We need help. And some executive was like, no, you got to push it out now. Like, it sucks because, I really think if the game had even got pushed back an extra 3 months, like I think, Chris, you had mentioned before, like, it would help them out a lot. There was a report that I think this whole fiasco is costing CD Projekt Red $1 billion. Like,
whoa,
that's crazy.
Wow.
Because their stock has dropped so hard. Like, I think their stocks, their market share is like $86 billion or something like that. They're the biggest they're the biggest gaming company in Europe, like even higher than Ubisoft. So yeah, and it's crazy because they're an independent company, but they own was it Good Old Games, which is kind of like a competitor to Steam on PC. It's a game store. So they own that. So that's really a large part of where their like money comes from, is that game store. And then obviously the couple games that they do make. But yeah, like, that's a lot of money to lose, man. You could have just delayed the game a couple more months and just maybe you might have lost maybe $1 million. Maybe you wouldn't have lost any money at all. Like, who knows? But now you done goofed.
Yeah. I just wish, like we talked about, just forget about current gen, because, the game is basically unplayable at this point for people who only have the one on the PS4, not like the Pro model or the Xbox One X.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, might as well just, focus all on next gen. I'm sure the game would run way, like, so much better than what it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
Just like forget about it, because like at that point, like the release window, you're pushing it back from like, from like early this year to like, fourth quarter this year. So like at that point, I would have just said like
next gen only,
and then like would have had less bugs. I mean, people would have been disappointed because obviously, like, they've been waiting all this time.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get a next gen console nowadays. So like, they still probably would have lost money, but
they would have saved themselves. They would have saved themselves, yeah, big time.
Here's the question though: if they would have said it was next gen only, because from what I understand, the versions of the games that we're playing right now aren't the optimized next gen versions of the games, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like those are still supposed to come out next year.
Yep.
So if they were to call this other one next gen only, and it only came out for Series X and then PS5, can you still do that with a game that's technically, I guess, not that console's version of the game yet? Like, how does that work?
So I think what we're saying is, if by the time February rolled around, you decided, okay, we're actually gonna push this game back until the end of the year, right? So all that time you took in the middle of the year, instead of focusing on optimizing it for current gen, you would have just used that time to solely optimize for next gen. So then when it came out, you would have had ray tracing on next gen. You would have had, whatever other features it is that
I
they
get what
plan
you're
on
saying.
coming out with,
Yeah.
right? So you basically would have been able to reallocate those resources to focus on making the best possible next gen version of the game that you could make and the PC version, and then boom, you essentially solved your own problem. But at the same time, I don't know if they had the foresight to realize that this was going to be as big of a controversy. I think they really banked on how much goodwill they had built up over the years and how much customer trust they built up, and they thought they could sneak by, and yeah, they're really screwing themselves over here.
Yeah.
Sure.
But now that we've gotten the doom and gloom portion of the game out of the way, we'll talk more about our experiences with the game, in a positive way, like what our general review is of the game. Again, like I said, I absolutely love it. Some of the bugs are definitely dropping it down a notch for me as far as it being like my game of the year. But the story that I've played through so far, I'm just enamored by it. I'll also start by saying I beat the game. I think we're all in different portions in the game, right? So Manny, you're about. So I'm about 40 hours in. I've beaten the game already. Manny, you're about what now?
I'm probably around like 30 to 40 hours myself.
Just focusing on side missions.
Yeah.
Okay, and Chris?
I'm at 18.
18. Okay, and also focusing mainly on side missions right now.
Mostly, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I like I said again, I love the story. I love where all of this stuff has gone. We'll keep it spoiler free for the most part because we're not all in the same place. But I will say I was a little disappointed in my ending because not because of the actual story beats of it, but because I was mad at myself for making the choices that I made. It's like the ending is super interesting. I just like I was like debating, should I do this, should I do that? And then as soon as I made there's there's a couple big decisions I should say, but your final big decision, I was like, fuck, like I shouldn't have done that. And
You're like, quick save, reload.
Yeah. And I dealt with the consequences of it because I wanted to see where the rabbit hole was going, but when it was all said and done, I was like, that was bad.
Damn.
I was like, oh, I fucked up. But without giving up away too much, I like the message that they're conveying in the story. I think it's really interesting, very Matrixy, very Bioshocky, and I guess when we're all done with the game, maybe I can talk about it more granularly because I'm tiptoeing around it. But it's some really interesting concepts that I got out of the game that I think are really cool. But yeah, well, Chris, I'll let you go next, man. What do you think of the game so far? Where are you at with it?
Man, I had mentioned. I don't know if I told you this, Manny, but I know I told you, Denzel, that the way how my coworker had described it was that it was completely broken as fuck, and that it should have waited a year before it came out, but that he's still completely in love with the game regardless. I wouldn't say it's broke. Well, it's broken, but I don't know if it's broken as fuck. Like that's a whole other level of broken.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm having a very good time. This game for me, deadass, is Grand Theft Auto meets Fallout. That's what the game is for me. I never would have thought I would have gotten anything close to those two worlds coming together like how they have. But I mean, I can't really describe it any other kind of way. I think the looting system of the game is what reminds me most of Fallout. Like walking around and opening up containers, and there's literally ammo crates and stuff like that on the floor. Like it looks like Fallout. And then driving around the city and meeting the NPCs and going around doing your missions and all that. That's where it kind of has like the Grand Theft Auto feel to it. Yeah, man, like the detail is exceptional. Down to because I look for little tiny things because to me the tiny things is what kind of set the stuff over the edge. And I'm watching mannerisms of most of the NPCs more than anything else when there isn't a bug. Like for example, when I was talking to Judy, and we were trying to talk about Evelyn, and I'm like, "Yo, where Evelyn at, yo?" You know what I'm saying? I'm V, and then she was like, "I ain't talking to you about that shit, V." I was like, "Listen, I got my cool points at 8, so you're gonna answer this motherfucking question. It's a question, right? And then there was a cool part when right when I was about to walk out, and then she goes, "Wait, no, B," right? And I turned back around, and she's looking at you. She's like, "You see, Evelyn? It's kind of tell her I said hey." Right? And then she turns back to her work, but the way she does it is so realistic. And I know it's tiny, but it's like, I was like, chef's kiss. Because she goes like this, and then her legs are like sprawled out like how somebody chilling would be, and they just swing back under the desk because she's like this, almost on some, I care about her, but I don't really want him to know I care. You know what I mean? I was like, that's cool. You know, like, gosh.
Body language and all that stuff, it matters, man.
It's on point.
Yeah.
On point. With Dex, because I was saying it before too, like I thought his character model was done probably the best out of everybody in the game, just based on how they had him move and his mannerisms and him smoking a cigar and all that stuff was perfect to me, man. Like, I mean, I've never seen a video game get it this good with the tiny details in their NPCs. Never. And yeah, man, I'm having a ball. Even Wakaka with her old self, man. You see Wakaka in there? She got a little cut down the front. I said, Wakaka, you about 80. You about 80. You know, damn well you don't need to be wearing nothing like that. But she out. And yeah, man, I'm having a really good time. I would say my least favorite thing in the game so far, and this is probably nitpicky, is, and correct me if I'm wrong, because maybe it's something that changes when I get further in the game. I hate the way how you have to wear the stuff you find, and that's how you have to like level up. Because that reminds me of how Destiny is. But at least in Destiny, once you get to your light level, you can wear your old shit again and just power it up. With this, it's like it's kind of a grind to kind of get a piece of clothing or something that you like, and then taking that piece and then keep on leveling that thing up just to keep it like at par with your level in the world. I found some dope jackets, some dope other stuff, some boots, all kinds of mess. I'm like, yo, my character could look fly as hell right now. And right now, I got this wild ass tiger claw vest on, some green boots, some weird blue jeans, and I got this really weird Shogun hat on. Like, my guy looks wild, but I have to wear all that stuff to get my my armor rating how I want it. And so I know other video games, like they give you an option when you get close to end game, like to color your outfits or to change them in some ways or whatever. And maybe the game does that. I don't know. I'm hoping you guys say it does.
Spoiler alert, it don't.
Nah. See, that sucks because the game has so much detail and customization, and that's like the one spot that you would have thought you wouldn't have to worry about that kind of customization. And yeah,
I mean, there are. I'll say this. I mean, it's not a spoiler in any way, but there isn't really like a way that I've noticed to like level up the stuff that you get, like the clothing and whatnot that you get. And I can't say that I necessarily wanted to. Like, I got to a point in the story where I felt like I don't care what what clothing pieces I'm wearing as far as their armor. I'm just gonna look cool, and I'm just gonna rock with it that way. And I don't feel like I lost anything because of that. Like, I don't feel like it was harder for me to complete missions or beat the game or anything along those lines. So I don't know. I don't know if I'd focus too much on that but the other side of that.
How long did it take you to get to that point though, where you felt like you didn't care anymore?
I mean, if I'm 40 hours in, probably like hour 20.
Oof, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like halfway through, I was just like, why am I bothering? Like, I feel like I'm already pretty comfortable with what I'm doing. Like, what really happens is you get to a point where, all right, so after the prologue ends, right? And you're introduced to Johnny. You do a certain mission where you have a certain gun. And like, did you notice, and I know both of you played it this far, did you notice that when you're playing that mission and you're shooting enemies, they die like immediately in comparison to how you were playing when you were V?
Yeah, TTK is wild.
Right. Okay. you eventually get to that point again, like after you level yourself up enough where your TTK is like that. So that was the point I hit where I was like, fuck all that shit. I don't care about armor. I'm just walking through, bow, bow, bow. I'm good. Like that was basically like that's the moment that hit for me. And I suppose that if I had really dove more down the line about the armor and all that stuff, it might be a different situation, right? Because there are a number of clothing shops in the area. So if I went to one of those shops and maybe I found some dope, armor or whatever that I liked, and I found different mods for it, that might have changed my gameplay experience significantly. But once I got my weapons right, it was a wrap. It was a wrap.
And personally, whatever clothes I have, whatever armor rating is, as long as it's the highest I wear it. It's a first person game, so it don't bother me as much.
Always bothers me.
I can see that though, right? Because there's never really a moment where you see yourself, right, unless you're looking in the mirror, right? Like it's always like the entire game is in first person all the time. It never really takes you out of that mode because it wants to, continue pushing you through that level of immersion, which is actually, I didn't really go into this yet myself, but that's actually my favorite part of the game, is how immersive it is. The fact that you're in first person all the time, even in moments where you're out here having sex or whatever, you're having it in first person, like, and it does its best to never take you out of that immersion. Like every conversation, every NPC, face to face, like you are V, right? You feel like you are V. I love that. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
I would have to say my least favorite thing about the game, though, aside from the obvious, like with bugs and whatnot, it's not even like a thing that I have a problem with, really. So I'll preface by saying that. But my least favorite thing about the game is probably driving.
Oh, I was going to bring that up next. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that.
Like, it's not even like a thing that I have a big issue with, though. Like, I drive in third person. I've mainly been driving with motorcycles. And it's honestly perfectly fine. Like, it's okay, right? It's not great, but it's okay.
Yeah. Definitely.
But one thing that people have been talking about is the shooting. And Manny, I think you were in the party when we were discussing this yesterday. A lot of people don't like the shooting in the game. I personally don't have a problem with the shooting in the game.
Yeah, me neither.
I feel like it's pretty tight. It's not like Call of Duty or Destiny or Halo or any of those types of games. It's because it's not really a shooter. Like it looks like a first person shooter, but it's not a first person shooter. It's a first person RPG. So like when I compare it to Fallout and certain other games, like I think the shooting is perfectly fine. Like I think it's actually really good. I think it's pretty tight. And I'm curious. So Chris, you said you don't mind the shooting. So, so I guess this question wouldn't necessarily be for you. I guess maybe more for Manny. A, how do you feel about the shooting? B, do you think that there's a difference in how you feel about the shooting from the beginning of the game to where you are right now? Because you got better guns.
I mean, the shooting really don't bother me as well. Like, when you play Cyberpunk, you don't play for the gunplay, because that's like, when you play games for mostly the fighting, even though, like, most of the game you do fight, you're playing Cyberpunk mostly for the story. And, it's not like you're playing a competitive multiplayer game where the combat has to be, like, top of the line or else it's not going to succeed. Like, you're just basically fighting NPCs where, like, yeah, it may not be Call of Duty, but it's still like a decent when it comes to like the shooting mechanics and everything like that. I think it's probably because people don't like the fact that there's like a weapon ranking system where you got to get like the better loot in order to succeed with the weapons. But other than that, I really don't see a problem with a game that's basically more focused on the storytelling than the combat. I heard the hand-to-hand combat though. I heard some people say it's clunky. I don't use my hands or like melee weapons at all, but that's what I heard.
Yeah.
I don't. It's weird, man. Like I feel like like, I didn't mind the gunplay at all, and then the fact that people are comparing it to like Fallout, I think the gunplay in this is way better than Fallout's.
Absolutely.
Like in my opinion, like Fallout's gunplay system is very outdated. The VATS thing is outdated. All that stuff needs to get updated in the next game whenever it comes out because it's really old. But in this, like I enjoyed the sniping a lot. I enjoy that they have like different archetypes between the different types of weapons. So like you can get a tech pistol, and then you can get a power pistol, and then you can also get the smart ones. Yeah. And like I like that. That's different. It varies stuff up. And then I mean, I don't know how much you guys have actually messed around with the dodging mechanics and the I forgot what the wire is called that comes from your wrist. You got there's that shit, and then you could do some crazy slide stuff in that game too. Like it doesn't feel too bad to me.
It feels really nice to me. That's a weird thing.
I had a shootout with the Tiger Claws, man. They were harassing this person and robbing them, right? And I walked up on them, and I slid into the engagement. I got right behind the car, and the way how it felt when I came up, man, I was like, yo, I like it. I think it feels good.
So I don't know. I don't know if this is, and I guess you guys can, validate this for me, but I don't know if this is like a perk that you get or something along those lines. But if you do a slide and then you hit someone for crit damage, everything slows down.
That is a perk.
Okay.
That's a perk.
Bro.
Because you can actually trigger that after a while on your own by hitting both the bumpers.
Okay. Yeah, because it was happening to me. I was like, bet. Sliding into an engagement, sliding around a corner, wow, catch him with a headshot. Because like my favorite thing to use in the game is handguns, like hands down. Revolvers and handguns are amazing. And like I feel like I clean up, and I feel like I'm really precise with my shots too. And it's interesting to me how much I was hearing people say like, oh, the shooting's clunky, whatever, what have you. But I also did get to a point where if you do certain side missions, I'll say this, you do certain side missions, you eventually get this really dope ass gun, and it has some really dope ass qualities. And I'll say that much and leave it there. So sliding around, popping somebody, and then having something else happen after you've already popped them, it feels really good. Really, really good. really, really good.
Yeah, I like the gunplay, man. I think it feels good.
Yeah,
That's just me. Like, shit, even the melee stuff feels good. I don't mind it at all. Yeah.
So do you find yourself, Chris, do you use blades or anything?
I've been using katana a lot.
Yeah,
Katana's been like one of my main ones. Because again, I started playing it kind of like Fallout. Fallout, I always have my go-to melee weapon because I'm always trying to ration my bullets. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do the same shit in this. I picked up the katana, and it's been what it is. Because more or less, I'm in the point now where if I see tiger claws on the street, it's on sight. They don't even wait. They start shooting. It's on sight, bro. Everywhere I go, bro, it don't even matter, dog. Me and the tiger claws not rocking with each other, dog.
This man got beef for everyone.
That's the tiger claws, man. They, cause you see how they walk around the game, bro. They walk around the game talking mad shit. They walk around the game thinking that they own everything, and I always catch them doing the most crimes out of everybody. Why y'all always doing bad stuff? Nah. I like them dudes.
I got beef with the tiger claws, yo.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't you working with the tiger claws though? Wakako, isn't she a tiger claw?
I don't know. Maybe.
I think she is.
If I am, she the coolest one of them all. All the rest of them.
About to roll up
Christy
on
her.
Up. About to roll up on her. But yeah, so what did you guys find yourselves like specking your character out for more than anything else? So Chris, I remember you mentioning something about your calm was at 8. So like what's your highest attribute?
My tech I think is 9.
Yeah.
I really, really started focusing on my cool and then my tech attributes. Hold on, I think it's chopping you up a little bit. I don't know. Can you guys see me okay on your end?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure. But yeah, the tech one is cool, man. I go with that, and the cold-blooded is like the specific perk that I've been trying to like really max out the most out of everything, just because I feel like it is the most beneficial early game. There's a lot of good attributes to cold-blooded to the point now. where if you get high enough, you get your health back up from shooting people. You get your the RAM pieces from when you want to hack things. They come back from killing stuff. Like all that stuff is connected to Cold Blooded. So that's where I've been really, really trying to focus. That and crafting.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, Manny, what about you? Where'd you go?
Mostly like the reflexes and like the I think it's called the body one, where it like increases your like strength and stuff like that, I believe. Those I've been focusing on with a little bit like technical for like those little technical things where you gotta hack and stuff like that, I think. Yeah, like now for like this playthrough I was probably gonna do something like that. And then like my next playthrough I'll probably focus more on like stealth and like hacking and tech, I guess. But like this playthrough is more of like that, you know. I'm the head honcho, you know what I'm saying? You want the stress? We gonna bang out.
Yo, it's funny. My playthrough is it's at odds with each other. So my highest specs are body and technical ability. Like my body's at 10, technical ability's at 11. Everything else is at 8 right now. I should focus on stealth. Like cool should be the thing that I focus on, because I go through every engagement stealthy. Like I'm sneaking around, I will break someone's neck and throw them in a freaking locker and like just keep on moving. Like there really aren't too many scenarios where I do end up shooting. Like more often than not, the only times I really end up shooting is when I'm doing a side mission that requires it, or if I'm just out in the street and I find somebody doing a crime and I'm like, slide up, bow, 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 you know? But like most of the side missions that I do, I try to like hack stuff, sneak by someone, and then like break their neck afterwards. So it's like weird that I didn't really spec my guy out as well for stealth, but I like the way my guy is, because if I have to get into a facility, I can either break the door or I can like hack it. And that's really what I use my stealth for. Although I guess it's kind of weird to me that like I break a door and nobody hears me. Like I will straight up break a door and like see someone in front of me as I break the door, and then I just walk up and like choke them. It's like
Yeah.
something's a little off there. Yeah, there's a couple other moments like that where I'm like, some of the game logic doesn't really make too much sense. Like I can't talk about this without spoiling, so I'm gonna just push on. But sometimes the game doesn't really dive into the emergency of what's happening to you. like basically, you know, for those who don't know, like it's not I'm not gonna spoil it, but you're essentially running out of time, right? And you're running out of time, and then you're getting a call from Wakako like, hey, yo, come buy this car. And then you're like having a whole conversation with people. And then you're like, oh, let me go do this side mission and this side mission and this side mission. All in the meanwhile, like, you're running out of time. And the game keeps reminding you that you're running out of time. Like, moments keep happening as you go from side mission to side mission. And then it's like, yeah, let me just go do another side mission. Like, maybe we should focus on the task at hand here. That's probably like the only part of the story that I feel like is a little weird, but you know, at the same time, I guess it kind of has to be designed that way. I just feel like there's so many different places that they can go with the game, like going forward. This is definitely a topic I want to review or come back to at some point after you guys have all played it, and then maybe when they do announce the next DLC, because I think what they could do with DLC is just very interesting. It won't be necessarily in the same, well, maybe it could be like what like, so Manny, you're kind of our resident GTA expert just because you've been playing a little bit more recently.
Perico.
So GTA, when they release expansions, right? I know GTA Online just had an expansion, but let's like talk more about like the core game itself. It usually doesn't follow the main characters anymore, right? The expansion usually has something to do with other characters.
Nah, they with the success of GTA Online, like they said, there was supposed to be story DLCs, but since GTA Online took over, they basically forgot about the whole story and just focused more on online.
Okay.
Yeah, I know GTA 4 like had a story DLC, but yeah, like I said, GTA Online, that just like that's their money maker, so of course they're gonna focus on that.
Yeah, I feel you. See, I'm really looking for. Speaking of GTA Online, I'm really looking forward to like an online version of this game, like what they could do with even a co-op stuff, or I guess competitive stuff if they decide to go that route. It's not a competitive shooter, but I could see them finding ways to get like the team deathmatch stuff in there and having it work pretty decently. I mean,
Cyberpunk Battle Royale.
Hey,
No, I don't know.
hey, imagine with that sniper that can shoot through the walls. What?
bro,
Let's go.
got me
I mean,
dead with that.
it'll be a good idea, but I don't know if the game will be able to handle that.
That's what I'm saying. That's literally what I'm thinking. I'm like, yo. But then again, I guess if it's not, I think the thing that strains the game the most is that specifically on Xbox consoles and PC, because from what we've seen from PlayStation, it's not like this. But the world is so densely populated. Like, I guess if you took all those people out and it was just a bunch of us running around, it might run better.
Probably. I would assume.
Yeah, if you take out all the traffic, like the NPCs that have to like think for themselves and be aware and do all these different things, I would assume the world should run a lot better.
But imagine a battle royale with the whole world populated. So I don't know.
Oh no, that see that wouldn't even make sense.
That's like a 2-hour game right there.
Yeah, yeah, that's just
for one win. Oh man.
Yeah, but with the world populated,
it'll be something
rough.
new. I mean,
I mean that's. I mean, today's thing, that's a hard buy.
I think that's something that they might be able to pull off on next gen and PC, right? Like if that's where they decide to go with this all, like okay, we gave you the game on last generation, but now everything that we do moving forward is focused on next gen or now current gen and PC.
Yeah.
That could be something. That could be interesting. They could pull off some stuff that we haven't seen before. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd be looking forward to seeing something like that. But we'll start to wrap it up a little bit here.
And once multiplayer comes, I don't want to hear nothing about you can't see your character, so fuck your outfit. Man, that's a situation where my drip has to be on point.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm playing with everybody else and I can't be out here dusty. All right?
That's a whole different situation, yeah.
Man, my character gonna be running around with his dangling hanging.
Goop, I'm pretty sure he probably is. I'm not even gonna discredit you for that. But my other question, real quick, on a serious note, though, because we were talking about the attributes.
Yeah.
Like how there's that one on the bottom that's blurred out? Don't spoil it, but have you unlocked it?
No.
Really?
I was expecting to, but yeah.
So maybe that's something you can do before the end game. Then
maybe
you got it, Goop.
I don't got it yet, so probably it's a side mission.
It could be a side mission. It could be some DLC down the road. It could be multiplayer related.
Maybe.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, and I was thinking, I was like, why is this so obviously there? Right, like you could easily just get rid of that area, like get rid of it altogether and not have it highlight itself. So like it's very clearly like wants you to know, okay, this is the thing that's happening. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. The next thing that I wanted to ask you guys though was again, I know that right now you guys have actually really been focused on side missions more than anything because you don't want to beat the game just yet. What is your favorite side mission so far?
Honestly, like I don't know if I could say without spoiling anything. All I gotta say is paying him a baddie, but other than that, there's this one side mission that's like connected to another side mission, this, that, and the third, where you're like investigating a crime, and then like after you complete like that side mission, like the cop that you worked with like has another crime to work with, like dealing with basically another like investigation, whatever they're trying to figure out. I thought that one was pretty dope.
I think I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, there's a couple like detective work type missions that are actually pretty dope.
Yeah.
So Chris, you got anyone in particular that sticks out to you?
I kind of wish I would kind of get a couple more brain dance missions and stuff like that. I haven't gotten too many of those yet in my side quests, so I am looking forward to those, but I think my favorite side quest so far, honestly, and this is not even a major one, but it's the one where it's just two brothers, and one of the brothers gets taken by, I can't remember the name of the group, and basically they're like experimenting on the brothers with like different modifications and stuff. And the one brother you talk to, you could tell that they started prepping his body for the implants and stuff, but they didn't finish it. And like V even says to him, dude, what the hell? Your implants are half finished. What's going on? And he tells you about how, his brother got taken and blah, 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 and you got to go down the street to go get him back. And you actually are able to kind of stop it before they get him all messed up and stuff too. And I was like, man, that's not even a big mission, but it was cool to see something like that in that world. I think it's cool that they have that Gary the Prophet guy in the alleyway, and he's just always talking that rhetoric, but he refuses to get any modifications done or anything like that because he's like, it's the devil, and like stuff like that. I always think is really cool in the world. It seems like the game it's got like a morality, like a layer of morality that goes throughout the whole entire thing, and everybody is constantly on this like tiptoe thing of, am I a good guy or am I a bad guy? Am I a good guy? And I think I guess the Grand Theft Auto S games also kind of have that in spades, but this feels different, man. This feels, I don't even really know how to quite describe it. That's kind of weird to say, but
I feel exactly what you're saying.
Yeah,
I feel like the game. This isn't spoilery. I feel like the game sometimes goes out of its way to shit on the idea that there is a good or bad guy. I feel like they just want you to. Damn, I want to make another parallel, but it'll be a spoiler for a different thing for the Mandalorian. But there are certain moments in the game where it forces you to look at yourself and say, how much am I willing to compromise myself for my own personal gain? How much am I willing to fight for like a cause greater than myself? And oftentimes when you make a decision one way, the game shits on you a different way, and it's just very interesting to see. But to answer my own question about the side mission thing, I there's a mission in particular that Manny kind of alluded to in a way, that involves a tank, and it's great.
I did not do that yet. Oh no, I would have known.
Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic. You will know. You will. It is very very memorable, very memorable. But I mainly want to go back and play it for a different love interest, because I dove in. I learned that apparently there are multiple love interests in the game.
Yeah, there's 4, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to dive into that. I feel like I can see another one like creeping up right now while I'm doing a side mission. And I'm like, I don't like you like that, so I don't like this. Like, this needs to stop. Because I already got my other girl over here. Like, I'm trying to keep that going.
I got side pieces.
Denzel belongs to the streets.
Oh,
streets are nice city. Nice city streets.
Oh man, the nice city streets are something else. But yeah, like I see it developing, and I think it's dope. Like it's so cool that you can like pursue those types of angles. Like I dove like headfirst into one angle. Like, this chick will call, and I would be there immediately. And I loved the missions involved with that particular character. But that one tank mission was something else. That was pretty cool. So yeah, y'all get a chance, go dive into all the love interests that pop up in the game, because I feel like they've all got to have like a very interesting angle to them.
Word, yeah.
All right. So to wrap up, guys, we don't normally do this. This is probably our first review discussion we've ever done, but definitely won't be the last one. If you guys were to put a score on the game so far, your experience of the game, what would you guys give it? So Manny, I'll start off with you.
Me? Oh man, I don't know. I said, the game, like, I do like the story and everything. Like, the bugs, like, I'm more of like an immersion guy, so like like if there's like bugs that kind of does ruin partially the experience. Um, I mean, I think from what I've been experiencing, I'll say like a 6.5 is fair. Like I feel like from the current state it is in right now, and the bugs we've all experienced, or me like particularly, I feel like it could be better, but and I know down the line it will be better, but as of right now, it's just that's how I'm feeling.
Okay, 6.5. All right, Chris, what about you?
Yeah, I'm probably right there around with Goop. I was gonna say 7. Because again, it has flaws, but I mean, I'm having fun within the flaws. Nothing so far that's made me say I ain't playing this shit and turn it off. Because I even had to do that with Anthem a couple times and say, you know what, just come back later, bro. It ain't the time right now. The game just don't want you to play. You gotta come back later. Ain't had nothing like that happen. 7 right now. They get their shit together. It probably go up to like a 9, and then if multiplayer hits how it's supposed to hit, bro, they got the potential to get to a 10, bro. They definitely do. But it's a 7 right now, for sure.
Okay. So, having actually beaten the game, seeing the full story play out, I'm actually going to go with an 8.5. I think there is a masterpiece in this game. Like, I think the story of this game is just extremely interesting. And you get down to some of the final moments and some of the things that you are presented with, some of the morality choices that you're presented with, some of the ways that the game makes you connect and care about characters that you didn't think you would care about when you first met them. I think it's absolutely amazing. I'd be curious to know if your scores change after you beat the game as well, because I think I probably would have given it a 7.5, maybe an 8, but the final moments of the story have definitely a high point for me. So it definitely gets notched up a bit. I'd be curious to see what things look like for next gen for sure. Like when they push out the next gen patches and they push out whatever DLC and like you said, multiplayer as well. I do think that ultimately this is a game that we will look at a year or two from now as a masterpiece. Universally, people will think about it that way. Same way with Witcher 3. Witcher 3 came out and we talked about this at length. It had a lot of issues when it first came out. Got a lot of revisions. It's been ported to just about every freaking console on the planet at this point, similar to Skyrim. And people love that game. People consider that game a masterpiece, and that's what's garnered CD Projekt Red as much goodwill as they've gotten to this point because of The Witcher. I think a very similar thing will end up happening with Cyberpunk down the road. So,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't wait to RP in this game, man. Like that's why I'm hoping the bugs work out because, like, y'all know I'll be trying. This is where I want to go with some of the streaming, man. I look at this game and I think about what the RP can be in this, and it's just like, bruh, it's like, oh boy.
So for those who are listening, Chris, do you want to like explain exactly what you're talking about?
Oh, sorry. For RP stands for role playing. So in games like Cyberpunk or Fallout or Grand Theft Auto or more or less a lot of these story-based games or games that have like a survival feature or something like that to them. There's a lot of folks out there who start servers and they role play. So they'll create a character and instead of just going through whatever the story's telling them to go through, they come up with their own scripts or they're improving and they're acting out a scene. They make their own heists, they make their own love triangles and all that kind of stuff, and then we ain't got no restrictions on that level, so it's kind of cool. I got inspired a long time ago on YouTube by this guy named Mr. Moon who did it with DayZ, and that's where I'm trying to go. So, yeah, y'all, yeah.
Okay, we'll be on the lookout for that. Sounds a little bit like, I guess the most mainstream version of it that I can think of might be like Red versus Blue. If you're familiar with that.
Yes, that's the best way you can. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
Right. Okay, cool. All right, well. We'll definitely be looking forward to that. So yeah, this will wrap up our final episode of 2020. Again, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for following. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel because we've definitely got a lot of stuff coming up in the new year. I think we're gonna have a bit of a relaunch in a sense coming up next year. We'll have a some things that look a little different. We'll be trying a couple new things. So yeah, just be on the lookout. Once again, we're really grateful to have you listening and following us. So make sure you share with a friend. Make sure you comment. Stay engaged. Check us out anywhere that we're available. And we'll leave it off at that. As always, Manny, let the people know where they can find you.
Onlyfans.com.
Damn.
Let me stop. You can find me, of course, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, MySpace, Facebook, all that kind of stuff. On Goodmaster Flex. Instagram is goodmasterflex_TTV. But other than that, yeah, Goodmaster Flex.
Cool. All right. Chris, what about you, man?
Man, y'all already know what the goddamn deal is. MAY25THXX on everything.
All right.
That's how you find me. Right.
All right. Make sure to check these guys out. And I'm again Black Ice 8 on Xbox, Twitch, Twitter, Steam, PlayStation Network, pretty much everywhere. The only difference is on Instagram, you can check me out at blackice8_gaming. Make sure to hit us up at any time. Tell us what you think about our episodes. Tell us what you think about gaming as a whole, and we'll be happy to reach out and talk, man. Again, like I said, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. We really look forward to seeing you guys in the new year. So Merry Christmas and have a Happy New Year.